we're just going to go ahead and get started. Mike's not here yet, but hopefully he shows up soon. I did turn the recording on just so that you're aware that you're now being recorded. So let me go back here. The first thing on the agenda was just a welcome and get to know sort of everybody. So maybe we can just go around the table first just to introduce yourself, and then we can introduce the planning staff so that you get to know everybody. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
My name is Susan Rawl. I live in a Newtown neighborhood here in Salisbury, and I work for the public school system at Westside Primary School as the community school coordinator there. Mm-hmm.
Good evening. My name is Matt Drew. I live on Claremont Drive in Salisbury in the Camden area near the university. I work for a couple of different hats I have. I work for a construction management business called Insight Build, and we do commercial construction management. And then I also have a consulting firm, Claremont Group, where I do building energy performance consulting. So live here about 18 years with my wife, Melissa. We've got 2 grown daughters and a not-so-grown dog, and really like this area. So, fortunately, I had the opportunity previously to be on the previous combined Wycomico Salisbury Planning Commission. So I got to work with a lot of the folks here, and we've got a really good team that's going to help us out.
Good evening. My name is Dave Chittington. My wife and I moved down to Salisbury 3 years ago, and I've been active within a lot of programs. I got the Adopt a Road program going here through Deshawn and Julie English. It was a wonderful, wonderful clerk. I spent my career of 29 years in the township of Voorhees as the public works director and also the public safety manager. I was on the planning board during my term in office, and after retirement we came down here, and we love the area. I live in the Nutters Crossing development, and we just do whatever we can to help the city.
Hi, my name is Latonia Askew, and me and my husband both retired and moved to Salisbury. It'll be 2 years in March of next year. I worked I have over 33 years of experience in human resources, and also in revenue at a major hospital, Jefferson Hospital in Philadelphia, and also a professor at LaSalle University and other universities. I love it here, as I was saying. People are really nice, so I'm really looking forward to doing what I can on this committee.
Good evening. My name is J. Anthony Dickerson. I live at Harbor Point on Upland Court. Been here in Salisbury all my life, and I am the executive director of a local Christian shelter here in Salisbury. Been the director for 6 years, going on 7 years. Also, I've been pastoring for 30 years. It'll be 30 years next year at a local church in Cambridge. It's called Greater Mount Olive Full Gospel Baptist Church. And I've been in nonprofit all my life. All my life I've been doing nonprofit, been serving my community, and I work with just about every population there is to work with, from ex-offenders, from children with disabilities, youth with disabilities, youth offenders, you name it, and I've worked with them. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy what I do. I'm doing my dream job now. And I just willing to do what I can for my community.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Bratton. I have been in the city of Salisbury since 1973 until about 3 weeks ago, when I finally did sell my house on South Boulevard. So it is now in the ownership of someone else, and they've already cut down some of my flowers, but that's okay. They needed to go. I now live out on Woodland Road, so I'm still in the city address city water and sewer, and I have great interest in what goes on in the city. For about 37 years, I was in public education as both a guidance counselor, a teacher, and an administrator. I've owned and operated many a rental property that I bought and renovated, rehabbed, kept, rented, found wonderful people, connected with wonderful clients, and I was telling Tony, Anthony, I'm trying very desperately to sell them to the owners, the renters, the clients right now. What is going on with this thing? And that's my exit plan. I'm down to 10 units at this point. Always been serving. I can't remember a time when I didn't do something volunteering, either at the church, school, wrestling teams, community players, Pemberton Fair, you name it. There's always been something going on. So this is the next stage, I think, in serving City of Salisbury, where long-term decisions can be made that will have an effect on what City of Salisbury is and will be in the future. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Laura Ryan. I'm one of the city attorneys. I'm typically the attorney that handles this board, and so you'll usually see me every month at your meeting. I usually sit up here and can help you on any legal advice that the Planning Commission needs throughout the meeting. I'm also available, if any other issues come up, like throughout the month. I work closely with DID. I have two partners who some of you might know. We kind of divide up a lot of the city work, and so the Planning Commission's usually mine unless I'm on vacation or tied up in court or something, and then you might see either Heather or Ashley from my office. But you should have my contact information because I think I'm included on the email that went out scheduling this. But if you don't know how to get a hold of me, I can certainly give you one of my cards before we leave.
Okay. I'm Betsy Jackson. I'm the city planner for the city of Salisbury. I've been on the job about 6 months. I've been with the city for a year and a half. Before that, I was in the planning field, both private and public sector, for about 18 years. So, date myself. I have I have 3 kids. They're all in middle school, so that's fun. And if it's okay, I'd just like to introduce the rest of the team. So this is Nick Wojcik, our director. And our latest addition, Judy Kuntz, who's our deputy director. And then we have Will Canner, he's our associate planner, Zach White, associate planner, and Henry Pearson, associate planner. So really happy to have such a good team with us. Is there anything you wanted to say before we get started? Okay.
Looking forward to work with everybody. I know some of us have worked with you guys before. Those of you that we haven't met, I look forward to presenting in front of you, I guess. So it's a pleasure.
Perfect. I wanted to thank you all for being so quick to do the trainings. I don't think I have everything from everyone, but it's a lot. So just, keep sending them when you get them. But we did have, I think, a fair number of people that have done all of them now. So I'm happy for that. Can I? Oh, yeah, sure. So the next thing on the agenda is the election of officers. So I'm going to start, but then as soon as you elect a chair, I'm going to pass it off. So the rules of procedure haven't been adopted, so the terms and responsibilities might change based on your decisions. The terms are for 1 year currently. Elections take place annually in September, and the responsibilities for the office are as follows. The chair presides at all meetings and hearings, approves agendas for all regular meetings. The vice chair acts for the chair in their absence. And then we have an Open Meetings Act representative. The state requires that at least one employee, officer, or member receive training on the requirements of the act. Although we maintain one representative, we ask that all staff and members receive training so that there's always someone present familiar with the requirements. And then we're required to maintain records showing that completion. To get started, Do we have any nominations for chair? And since you don't all know each other well, I do have permission to let you know that you can nominate yourself if
Or
there.
just speak up and say, hey, I want to do it, someone
Yeah.
nominate me, here's my experience. You can also do it that way.
I would like to nominate the gentleman that is from New Jersey, right? I can't your first name again has eluded me, I'm sorry.
Dave?
Dave, I know that he speaks with authority in most areas, and I would like to officially nominate him for our chair.
I would second that.
Dave?
You accept?
Well, I guess first, are there any other nominations?
Let's pause for 1 second. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Especially
Mike
for.
would like to call in.
Oh.
I thought it was tomorrow.
We can
Oh,
just put him
no.
on speakerphone.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I think since we're doing the elections, we might as well just get him on the phone.
Get him on the phone.
Your
We'll just have
seventh
to be
member is
careful about-
going to call in.
Hey, Mike, it's Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, I'm in the middle of the planning commission here. We have you on speakerphone. You can join in by phone if you'd like. They're about to elect officers.
Okay, great.
Great, okay.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second, right?
I seconded.
Okay.
Did we need more nominations first, or it's just?
No, you can
Just take the
vote,
vote.
and then if it passes, it passes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
You can just close nominations. I move that we close nominations.
Okay, so is this passing for the?
So they would now vote.
Okay, now we're voting. So, Mike, they're voting for Dave Chiddington to be the chair. And he's the only nominee at this point. So, take a vote. I think we just go around and say yay.
Okay.
Aye.
I vote in favor, aye.
I vote in favor, aye.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Mike, would
I'll
you like?
vote aye.
Oh, great.
I'll vote aye.
Excellent. You abstain.
Congratulations.
I'm shocked.
You're welcome.
So now you can sit in the middle and you can do the rest of the work.
I think everybody was afraid to get in the middle.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's the hot seat.
I wasn't going to sit there.
Doesn't he get an orb and scepter?
Okay, do you want to take over for elections for the vice chair and the representative?
And we would just do the same thing. You would just get see if there's a nomination for the vice chair, or if there is any discussion on it, or someone wants.
Yeah, why don't we just go with that as far as a nomination for the vice chair? Anybody have any names for the nomination?
I would be happy to serve if,
Yeah, I would nominate Matt Drew.
oh, thank you. Thank
I
you.
second it.
I'm okay with that. Aye.
So then, since there's been a nomination and a second, everyone would then vote.
It has, Mike.
Aye.
Lynn Bratton, aye.
Aye.
All right, Mike, they're taking votes. Are you for Matt for vice chair? Okay,
I'll vote aye.
okay.
I'm sure you would.
Now we need a nomination for the,
Open Meetings Act.
Open Meetings Act.
representative. So you all are taking, or have taken, the Open Meetings Act training. We're required to have one person kind of designated as their representative. I always say that this is the person who should just really know the Open Meetings Act, and if you see anything during the meeting that violates it, it would be your obligation to speak up. We have one on pretty much every commission. It's probably the easiest job.
I would nominate LaTanya.
Second it.
I was going to nominate you.
I was going to nominate you. Let's do that. I'm going to nominate Lynn too, because I think Linda would also do a good job.
I honestly would like to recuse myself from that.
Okay?
I'd
Decline?
like to get someone else
Sure.
involved. But thank you.
Any other nominations?
Did you accept the nomination? You seemed unsure.
Yes, I'll accept.
Yeah, I think you did.
That's fine.
You were in HR, you know about rules.
Mike, do you have any nominations for the Open Meetings
I
Act?
don't have any nominations.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, so that we had a nomination, and did someone second it?
I'll second it.
So we can vote on it.
Lynn Bratton, aye.
Anthony Dickerson, aye.
Aye.
I'll vote aye.
Aye.
Mike, do you have a vote for Latonia for our,
I'll vote aye.
okay.
So meeting is next.
Are you okay to proceed through the agenda?
So yes, so after the elections at this point, about our dates and times for meetings. Would you like
I
to?
think
So
that
can I-
that's part of the rules, right?
Right, yeah. So the draft rules of procedure have been provided. They can be amended from time to time. The most urgent item is the regular meeting date so that we can get them on the calendar. The draft rules propose 1:30 on the second Thursday of each month. But that is up to you. Historically, the Planning Commission has been held in the afternoons. There's pros and cons to any of the dates and times. But starting in the afternoon reduces staff overtime, allows consultants for applicants to attend during the normal workday, and allows the commission to more easily accommodate longer meetings when there's public hearings. The downside, of course, is that it can be inconvenient to come during the day, especially if you have a 9 to 5. And then I've listed the meeting options that are available based on the availability of this room. And they're up on the screen if you don't have your papers with you, and it's easier. And then also, you can discuss the rules and anything you want to change. And ultimately, we can edit and whatever so that you can adopt. Is that fair?
And so in terms of like the meeting time, that can just be a discussion between you all about everyone's availability. Does anyone have a strong preference? Can everyone make the
Oh, sorry. I
times that are, that this room is available?
I have difficulty with making it during the day.
Yeah.
Because I work
I was going to say
in the
that, too.
public schools, yeah.
I prefer night too.
When you say night, do you mean like this time or with like a 4 o'clock work? I think that's,
No, a 4 o'clock would be fine,
The county does 4, yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Like a 4 o'clock time would work a lot better. Mhm.
I would say that the, when the board was consolidated, the meetings would last maybe like 2 hours on average. Every once in a while, we'd have one that would like last 4.
8.
Every once in a while, we'd have
Most
one.
were 2, yeah.
Yeah, I would say 2 is usually the average. And so I would just keep that in mind in setting it, because if it's at 4, then, you know, presumably you might be able to get home in time for dinner, but if you start at 6, just know that you're gonna be here pretty late.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 o'clock is fine for me.
4 o'clock works for me.
And if,
How does that work with the staff as far as getting into your overtime situations?
Our workday is until 4:30 generally, but we have night meetings, so we would work that out.
Do they flex time?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that too much, whatever.
I'm sorry, I
is-
worried about the staff.
I appreciate it.
I think we do have the ability to call for additional meetings if we need to, based on, like, I don't want to get ahead in the agenda, but we've got a lot of work ahead, and I almost anticipate monthly may not be enough at the onset. We may want to talk about meeting more frequently.
Yeah, we can certainly set some special meetings as well.
Okay.
But this would be for like the standing meeting, so you would know like the whole rest of the year exactly when the meetings are going to be.
Is there like an interface with the county planning commission that we wouldn't want to tie you guys up at the same time? Or like, would we want to stagger it based on what the county meeting schedule is?
You guys aren't going to the county, right?
No, we wouldn't continue to go there. We have the we don't usually attend their meetings. We would only go because it was ours. The MOU ends in December, so.
And I only mentioned the fact that they were at 1:30.
Yeah, they're at 4 now.
I always thought the 1:30 was very awkward for anybody that had a regular job that wasn't flexible, like teaching school or any of the types of things where you punch time clock. So I think a 4 o'clock at least gives people the opportunity of perhaps taking an hour early leave if they needed to, or maybe even still get their kids and get them home and still come out. So 4 o'clock seems to be a good compromise, I think.
I think that works for me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think works for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Mike, do you have any contribution to the time?
Anytime after 2:30 or 3 o'clock is typically fine for me, and if it's on a Thursday at 3 or 4, that should be fine.
So I don't know if it would necessarily be on a Thursday, Betsy, looking at your availability for this room, if we did a 4 o'clock,
It could
the
be,
options would be the
second
second Tuesday or
Tuesday.
Wednesday.
The second Thursday, I believe, works, as long as it's after 1 p.m.
Tuesday's fine too for me.
What, Board of Appeals is the first Thursday?
Board of Appeals is the first Thursday, and
Historic District is
the fourth Wednesday. And sometimes when there's a holiday, Board of Appeals will move up, all of the meetings do that, but I think that a regular meeting would trump that, and we would figure that out differently.
So you said, oh yeah, so I see. So the second Thursday.
I mean,
Or
I think staff preference would be the second week, just for workflow, but that, again, we will figure it out. So we're just happy to have a commission.
so if it's the second week of every month, does anyone have a preference as to Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday?
I'm not available on Wednesdays. I'm in the Ocean City Recreation Dancer, so that's my dance practice.
That's cool.
Oh, she says she's not available Wednesday.
yeah, Wednesdays would be hard for me.
Yeah.
I'm good with Thursday.
Thursday or Tuesday works for me.
I can't do a Tuesday.
So it sounds like the
Thursday?
Sounds like Thursday works.
Okay. I checked the books again this afternoon, so.
Second Thursday?
Second Thursday of every month at 4 o'clock?
That's a plan. Do we need a motion to that effect, or do we just move with it?
I think that would just be included in the rules, and then
Okay.
the rules are going to get approved all
In one thing.
as one.
Good to go.
Okay, so
Moving
we
on.
pretty much passed through item number 3, so going on to number 4, discussion of upcoming agenda items. Item A is sign plans. What's that all about?
Well,
Before we get to that,
you all need just to take a look at the draft rules.
I'm good
So
with them.
included in your packet are draft rules. This is something that I've put together. It's very basic. Some of it is taken from the state law regarding the requirements for this commission. Some of it is just taken from other boards or prior rules and kind of standard ones that we've pulled throughout the city, and some are just kind of specific to this commission and how it's run in the past. And so these are your rules. They can be changed whenever you want, or if you want something in here, we can add it or delete it. I know for a couple of the other boards that I'm the attorney for, what they've kind of done in the past is adopted like basic rules, and then when you guys get underway, if you start to see that there's issues or you want changes or something like that, we can always bring it back as another agenda item, because they are your rules, so you can change them when you need to. Obviously, we don't want to change them all the time, but since you haven't been through a meeting yet, just keep in mind that they're not necessarily set in stone.
What
The only-
kinds of, okay.
Oh, sorry. The only thing that I was thinking about when I was reading is that the incompetence and misconduct is really vague.
So, let me find that section.
Section 3
Is,
is 3:3.
okay, so that is taken directly from the state law. And just, I probably copied and pasted from the state law. And I don't know if there would be a definition in the actual state code about what those two things are, but I'm sure that because those standards apply to a whole assortment of different boards, that there would be case law on it. And so it's one of those things that if you want a more detailed definition, I can try and do some work and come up with a definition, or if the issue were to arise, what we would do is we would just do a little deeper dive into the case law and see whether or not it applies.
So I have a couple questions. Section 2, since we've just kind of gone through this with vacancy of a sitting commission, council members, I know it's different. It says the vacancy shall be filled for the unexpired term. By whom and how? That's very vague.
So it would be filled, there's a vacancy on this board, it gets filled the same way as you all were appointed.
So it would be, applications would be requested, the mayor would then review the applications, he would make a recommendation to the city council, and then the city council would vote? Okay. As long as that's what this says, then that's fine.
Yeah, so there, in the state law, it says how planning commission members get appointed.
Okay.
So we don't have the ability to
Okay.
deviate from that, these
Just,
rules.
just questioning the procedure. The other, I'm not sure, yeah, we've got the quorum sitting in here. Are our votes by simple majority?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you. Of the quorum present?
yes.
Of the members present?
Of the members present, yes.
Okay.
And I think that
I think it's
should
in,
be
I think
spelled
it's
out
in here.
It is.
I think it is in here.
It's in there.
I just have a note. This is Mike. Article 5, Section 2. I mean, it's really minor, but at the end it says, until his successor shall take office. So we just want to make that more gender neutral.
Until a successor.
It seems
Oh,
Yeah, we can
Just
just
A.
change that to A.
it's a minor thing, but I just figured why not
Thank
bring it
you.
up while we're all talking about it.
Couple things.
Just while
Oh,
I'm
we'll let
asking,
Mike
if I could, Article 9, Order of Business, Section 3, and can you kind of provide an example where you'd have to limit or exclude irrelevant or duplicative evidence or testimony? I mean, I'm sure it's come up before. I'm just trying to understand when that happens and how that takes place, just so that we we could be prepared if that situation were to arise.
Second, I'm just 5-3.
No, 9. 9, 3. 9.
Section 3.
So the chair has the general ability to control the order of business, and I don't know if I've ever actually seen it happen, but if somebody wanted to present something that really was getting to the point where it was just protracted and we were duplicating the same thing that had been said over and over, it would be the chair's authority to say kind of, okay, I get your point, move on. Kind of like the judges say to us lawyers all the time. But that's certainly something that's within the discretion of the chair. And that also, not all of the cases that come in front of the planning commission are necessarily going to be things where there's like public comment on it. So it could just be an applicant, like, asking the applicant to kind of move on to his next point.
Some people do have a chair. They go on and on and on.
Topic being brought up is relevant to the question at hand. I think we've had that on dragging extra things in.
Yeah, so the reason for putting out an agenda and identifying what's on the agenda is so that the public gets notice of what the planning commission is going to talk about. And so if someone is bringing up something that really is not relevant and is not on the agenda and maybe should be its own agenda item, that would be an occasion for the chair to say, we're not here today to talk about that. You can talk with staff about getting it on a different agenda.
Does a commissioner at the start of a meeting have the ability to introduce a new agenda item for consideration? Can the agenda be modified at the start of the meeting?
It is the preference that it not be, because you're not giving notice to the public. If it was something minor that kind of falls within what's already on there, it probably would not be a big deal, but I wouldn't want anyone to show up and say, okay, well, let's talk about 101 North Main Street today, because 101 North Main Street needs notice that you're going to talk about them.
Right.
Yeah.
So perhaps the method would be you suggest at this meeting that you want to talk about 101 North Main Street at the next meeting, and then it's on the published agenda.
Yeah, that's the better way to handle
Okay.
it. Or if there's like a general, like, say you wanted an update on the comprehensive plan and it wasn't on the agenda, it would be, the best thing would be to tell staff, like, hey, can we put this on the next agenda? Because the other thing is that you have a whole bunch of staff and lawyers getting ready for these meetings, and if none of us know that you want to talk about it, none of us are prepared, and you won't get very good answers out of anyone.
Right, that's productive, yeah. That's good. Couple questions I had. Article 10 on page 5. This speaks to the commission having the ability to appoint employees necessary for the performance of its functions. How would this work? Like, is there a budget for this, and is there a procurement process? If we chose that we wanted to invoke this, it's interesting, but I don't know how it would work.
I think that language is actually, I believe that's buried in the state code. Wow. It's one of just the powers of the planning commission. Your employees really are the people that are sitting here today. And so if there's something that you think needs to be looked into, that's kind of like the first people that you would go to. Right. In terms of if they needed some kind of outside consultant, typically that's just done through your office and your budget. Like, for instance, when you outsource the comprehensive plan or something like that.
Yeah, there'd have to be available, I think, within the city, whether, typically I think it would have to be a process of getting the city to, allocate funds towards something. Right. The council action process. And practicality would be probably a suggestion.
even have to be taken to the council to get budget allocated and then through a procurement process to actually enter into contract for those services. Okay. Okay. One thing, and maybe this is in there and I just didn't see it, but more and more, and boy, today's a great meeting. Thank you, Mike Perensky, for calling in. We need to have the ability to have remote meetings from time to time, and I think these procedures ought to give this body the ability to do that when it makes sense.
Sure, I can add some language in here about remote meetings. Ever since COVID, all the boards and commissions have kind of done that, and there is some master governing legislation that allows boards and commissions to do that, but I think it probably would be helpful to put something in
Good
here.
idea.
That, if a commission member can't physically be here, but you could appear via Zoom, that although it's not preferred, but that we put some notice to staff or whatever it is you all may need.
Yeah, we have other boards that do that occasionally. It's just harder for the applicant sometimes to get their request across when there's Zoom and in person.
Is anywhere in any of our operating procedures, does it need to be stated that the applicant can also provide testimony or expert witness testimony or collaborative testimony via a Zoom visit? I mean, sometimes people have people from Baltimore or DC or an engineer from here or there that they would like to have that information shared with the board. Does that need to go in here, or does that just go as just a standard operating procedure that we've done that before when people have brought stuff to a board? I know it's sometimes done in the city council meetings. They have people present via Zoom.
And it could always be at the discretion of the chair to choose to do that.
Yeah, I can give it some thought and talk with staff about it. I mean, this commission in particular, it's really hard if you're not here, because there's always the person who's like holding up their paper being like, oh, it's right there. But if staff's not opposed to that, I do think maybe at the discretion of the chair, like that has to be some kind of limiting factor, because it really, you could start to see that a lot.
Well, the way that I look about all this stuff is that, going back to the point about the applicant during an open public meeting, would be, there is a time, as it is during the, 3 minutes for a council meeting for an applicant, or is it extended? Is there no clock on that?
So for the planning commission, public comment is generally reserved for public hearings. You don't have to allow it for just a normal meeting. And then it's up to you to decide how many minutes you want to allow.
Because, to the point where it's like, okay, a planner, could submit a plan or an application that just goes on and on and on to get a point across. And as you said, it can be just, okay, you got your point across, I get it. But my whole point is trust your plan, your city employees, trust the professionals. They're here to guide us. And take their word, weigh it, and decide what you want to do with an application. I understand all that. My point is also, let's move it along. The faster the better is always the best way.
Okay, so why don't I talk with the city staff and figure out what remote procedures would be feasible and what we could put in here in terms of either the commission members attending via Zoom or an applicant attending via Zoom. And then, so that's kind of like the point of today, is to discuss this stuff. I take notes, I go back and do my homework, and then presumably the next meeting will have another draft with these changes to it.
Okay.
Were there other changes? Just so I make sure that I have everything, is just changing that language in Article 5, just to make it gender neutral. Adding some potential Zoom remote hearing procedures. And then confirming that it would be the second Thursday of every month at 4 p.m.
I have one last thing, and I think we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but as I see it, the chair has the discretion about how public input can happen, except for the public hearings. That's pretty well defined. Do we need to elaborate on that more? Or, David, to your benefit, would we want to have more? Do we want to have a 3-minute time limit built into the bylaws, in essence, these rules of procedures? Do we want to leave it a little bit more open and at the chair's discretion?
And just so you know how it's kind of been done in the past, is that there historically has not really been public comment unless there's a public hearing on something. The chair, however, does have the discretion to allow public comment. And so there have been some situations where the prior chair has said, this is a big deal, I'm going to allow public comment, even though we're not here for a public hearing. Or there might be situations where the chair says, no, this is not a public hearing, we are not allowing for public comment. And then assuming that it gets opened up to public comment, for instance, in a public hearing, we pretty much all of our boards, the chair has the ability to set that time limit. There are some boards where there's always public comment, and so it's a great idea for everyone to know you get 3 minutes, and that's what it is. There are other boards or commissions that there's very rarely public comment, and the public comment might be something short, or it might actually take a little while. And so that's why we've kind of left it open-ended, where the chair has the ability to set the time limit. You can show up and you can say, oh, this room is packed, I'm allowing public comment, but you all get 2 minutes. So that's kind of how it is now. I think what Matt's talking about is making it a more firm rule.
And written, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't have the right answer either. Like, I've been through meetings just as you described, where the chair can sense the temperature of the room, and for this situation, I need to open it up to public comments. There's other things where it just doesn't make sense to do that. So to expedite the meeting, so.
And that could be something we just leave open-ended, and then as you work through meetings, if you decide, like, I really want a rule, I want, all public hearings that allow public comment to put in there 2 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever the case may be, then we could go back and add that later.
Yeah.
And that's why I was going to ask, can we amend the
Yes.
rules at any time? So if we see it, that it's beginning to happen frequently, then we can go back and say, hey, I think we need to set a time limit on this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Certainly do that.
Got one final one, then I'm going to be quiet. Over the years, I've been a consulting engineer for about 18 years, so I've been kind of on that side of the desk and understand what the process is. And I know that there are ebbs and flows of staff workflow, of where you guys are completely overwhelmed and you each have 20 projects, and then you have a reasonable workload, and then 6 months later you might have 20 projects. And there's always been a thought that I've experienced on the consulting side of, like, wouldn't it be nice, and I've seen other municipalities have the ability to give a developer, give a building owner, give the consultant the opportunity to either go through the normal staff approval design review of the staff professionals, or hire a third-party consultant that reviews to the same design standards, produces a report that would then be either accepted or accepted by comments with the professional staff that's here in place. And typically that's done at the cost of the applicant, as an added cost, but if there's a project where they feel that the turnaround time or other things would justify that additional cost, it would give somebody who's an applicant the choice to do that. I bring that up here because that might be something that this planning commission wants to be able to give leeway to the staff to go do as an option. So,
Are you talking about like in lieu of an applicant coming here that there's more of a staff level review?
I would say if let's say we had a agreed upon set of rules of what an application had to do to meet, and I think we have that in the form of lots of checklists and design standards internally within the city. If a third party applicant, or if an applicant were to decide, I want to try to speed the process up of review, I will go to one of 3 certified firms that the city agrees understand what those design standards are and can meet the city's expectations. They could choose to do that and pay for that additional fee at the cost of the applicant, and then that third-party reviewer would produce a review of the plan set. It would be blessed and presented at the council or to the planning commission by the same staff members, but the review itself would have been done by a third-party firm.
Sort of already that option.
It's basically a consultant doing the staff report essentially.
But with the staff doing a final check,
Right.
yes. Yes.
I think might be more of a code change
Yeah,
versus
if it-
Okay.
rules of procedure.
So you think it would be violating our current code?
It would still come in front of you to make the ultimate decision on?
That's what he said.
No.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, absolutely. So it wouldn't be a change in. It would just simply be a matter of the review is done completely in-house, or it's done by a third-party consultant with a final review in-house.
I don't know if that would necessarily require a code change. We'd have to give it some thought, though. I don't think that it would.
Because we put it in the code a couple years ago for engineering reviews on development plans.
Yeah.
It's a third-party option, so that was created.
I don't think the proper place for that to live would be the rules. I do
Right.
think that if that's something that the city wanted to do, we probably would build it into the code.
That
The
happened
same
into
way.
the fee schedule, which was adopted by the council.
Yeah.
For third-party engineering options, which I don't think have ever been used, but
Okay.
was added a couple of years ago.
Is that something you guys want to think about and brainstorm and then maybe circle back to me on?
Yeah, we could look into how it was
Okay.
done in that case.
I understand what you're saying, but this is probably not the place, or the closest we could come as a body would be to say we are open to the idea in some language, but we really can't codify something.
Yeah, and assuming, if we're gonna kind of delegate that, I probably would want to spell out the procedure in the code, and I'm assuming that would live in Title 17 of the code, which in order to change that comes in front of you. So we'll get to review that.
Okay.
I think for the planning reviews, I'm not sure how much that will help if we have to do a final review anyway, because they have engineering firms putting these projects together and we're double checking them.
Yeah.
But it certainly can be looked at.
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, so I have my notes. What I'll do is I'll make some changes and then we can include it in next month's agenda, and hopefully if there are no other changes, then we can vote and adopt the rules then.
Okay.
So the rules of procedure we're pretty much wrapped up with? And what would you like to move on to now, as far as trying to get into the discussion of upcoming agenda items?
We have a healthy backlog now of projects and text amendments and things. And since this is a new commission, we want to try to do a really good job of prepping you in advance for what's coming ahead so that you understand what we'll be looking at. The staff is also putting together sort of a cheat sheet of requirements for each item based on what's in the code for a quick reference. But we have sign plans. This is one thing we have been able to take to the county per the MOU to keep up on. So we don't have a huge backlog of those, but they do come in regularly. And they are generally amendments to sign plans that are required through the comprehensive development plan process. And they're pretty straightforward, but they would address things like size, color, materials, and the type of sign allowed on a plan. Then we have comprehensive development plans. They would be preliminary or final. We do have a preliminary comprehensive development plan waiting for review, and they are very anxious to get before you. Per the code, a comprehensive development plan specifies or provides specifications and measures for either private or public development, such as but not limited to townhouse development, apartment projects, shopping centers, or other such development. The code would say whether or not a specific development type requires a comprehensive development plan. And the preliminary gives an opportunity for the developer to get an early approval of the project and the concept from the planning commission before going through the expensive full engineering plans. And then it comes back before you for a final. Then we have zoning recommendations for annexations. So when a property owner wants to bring their land into the city, they petition for annexation. Most of this happens with city staff and the legal team and city council. However, our code does provide an opportunity for the planning commission to recommend what zoning district to apply to that land that wants to be annexed in. We currently have 2 annexations waiting for a zoning recommendation. We anticipate a third by the end of the year. We are getting these sort of requests regularly at this point. These are not public hearing situations for the recommendation. Then we get into text amendments and rezoning requests. These are public hearing situations. We have several text amendment requests and actually 2 rezoning requests now that we couldn't process before the previous commission dissolved because they do take a long time. Let's see. I'm hoping that we won't get so many once we comprehensively review the zoning code, because at that point it'll be really hard to argue change or mistake. But as it stands right now, it's really easy to argue that. The requests take 4 to 6 months due to all the public hearing requirements. So first, and historically, you would have a workshop here. Then it would be followed up by a public hearing in the following month. That way you're fully briefed on it before the public hearing. And also can propose changes to the legislation. Then after that, it goes to the city council for a workshop and then public hearing. And they have a reader process where I think 3 readings total, with one of them being a public hearing. Some of these, there's no workshop requirement. We do have a few that are pretty simple fixes that we'd like to get public hearings for as soon as possible. And I've attached some separate staff reports to that end, just to brief you now and get an idea of whether you think you need the workshop or whether we can go ahead and start public hearings.
Using the word workshop, is that work session?
Work session,
Oh, okay.
yes, thank you, sorry.
I was trying to see if that was the same terminology.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
So let me scroll down to those.
Would they be on, if you needed a work session, would that be on the same day? like
No.
Before the kind of the way the city?
Requirement,
Okay.
but for like bigger
Big
projects
things?
or more, detailed things that are going to be a public hearing, because
Right.
the public hearing, you have to advertise for, you really want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row when you're showing up for a public hearing. Sometimes the staff will do a work session to make sure that everyone's kind of on the same page and that there's nothing else that really needs to get done before it gets brought back.
Is that an open meeting to the public?
Yeah,
The work
so
sessions?
they're all open meetings.
Okay.
They just wouldn't necessarily be a public meeting where the public could participate in it.
So, so the first one that we have is for a specialty shop. We've had some businesses trying to come into the neighborhood business district, and they can't unless they're part of a shopping center. And that requires like special use exceptions and all sorts of things. But we do allow specialty shops, but it's limited to crafts, antiques, handiwork, and things made on site. So if you just wanted to sell a particular item, like specializing in, the one that is related to this has to do with auto parts, but it really could apply to anything that doesn't quite fit the narrow definitions in a neighborhood business district. So this would propose expanding that definition. I think we said to make it a retail store that sells a specialized line of merchandise related to a specific category or brand of products, rather than limiting it to like needlework and handiwork and whatever else that's very specific. I think it just is like artwork, leatherwork, pottery. So that's that one. And so I guess what we're hoping to get is just like a consensus about whether you think it's something we can move forward with a public hearing or whether you want it at a workshop at the next meeting first. Do you want to say anything about it before I move to the next one, or?
Does anybody have any questions on that? I mean,
I read the staff report. I think it's a good staff report. One question I had was I didn't understand the definition or the boundary between what we think a specialty shop is versus what general retail is. Like, when does it cross that threshold?
Well, our definitions aren't really very clear, right? So the specialty shop in our code is defined as the sale of antiques, collectibles, or handicraft and supplies, including artwork, leatherwork, pottery, needlework, or similar items which may be made on premises. So that all very much seems like stuff you might collect, little,
Cottage industry sort of things, too. like
Right.
Yeah.
whereas if you did a specific category or brand of products, it encompasses that, but might also, like if you wanted to sell kitchenware, a store that just sells like kitchen goods would be okay.
I guess this question is, how is retail store defined? Is there a separate
We don't,
General, yeah.
we don't have a separate for retail store, I don't think.
And I think we talked about that a little bit as an option here, to just add
We
retail
have
store to this, but then
retail.
it turned out that it didn't really
Yeah, we have
exist.
Well, we do, yeah, retail,
Yeah, I think the definition is
it's
here.
retail establishment in the code.
Structure
Laura found it.
containing one retail use or several uses under one ownership in one structure or within one unit of a structure from which merchandise is sold to the general public, including the rendering of services incidental to the sale of such merchandise.
And that's very broad. And so the thinking behind it was with neighborhood business being more of a small commercial, that if you added retail establishment, it could bring more of like chain stores or larger stores that maybe the city didn't necessarily want in those areas. So like, I guess a change to allow it, but with the least impact that hasn't been like fully vetted and studied, so.
Well, that's what I was thinking, that the definition is here.
My reading of this was, this might be an example that, Matt, you might get in my thinking is, if we welded bikes, we could sell bike frames that we welded, but we couldn't buy bike frames and sell them out of our specialty store
Right.
currently. Like, And I was wondering too, how would this apply to like specialty food stores? Like, could you open an Italian shop that sold imported food items, or would that fall under a different category? Or let's say you sold Haitian food items or Central American food items. Would that be under general retail or specialty shop?
I think my interpretation was that it would fall under specialty shop. There's also provision in the code where if there is a question as to the interpretation, we can bring that before you, or an applicant can bring it before the commission to get an interpretation. So if you interpret specialty shop more broadly, I think, would it be fair to say they could make an interpretation rather than changing code? Or do we just?
Yeah, it just depends on whether or not it clearly falls within one definition or another. If something falls within kind of like that gray area, there is a section in the code that says it can come in front of the planning commission for a determination on what's meant by that. So I think the question is, retail is several, it can be lots of different things sold. It's any store would be a retail establishment. Whereas a specialty shop right now under our code, it's just selling like pottery and leather works. The proposal is to expand specialty shop, not as broad as retail, but to allow a store that sells one of any specific kind of thing. So a bike store that sells bikes
Right,
and bike
and
related
bike
stuff
supplies.
would be a specialty shop. But Walmart that sells bikes but a whole lot of other stuff would not.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think this definition says that, though, the one that's in here.
For a specialty shop? So the proposed definition is that second to last paragraph. That's what staff is proposing that it be changed to.
This reads almost to me like a Walmart.
Retail store that sells a specialized line of merchandise related to a specific category or brand of products.
Because Walmart sort of sells everything, and so this would be, we could word it differently so that it's more clear if that's not clear.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, specialized line, Walmart sells 1,000 lines of merchandise, food and bikes and auto parts and clothing and baby products and drugs and everything else. Versus this kind of suggests only one of those should be sold.
So maybe.
Like a niche.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Maybe related to one specific category.
A single specialized
A single
line.
special, like if you
Just
had
firm it
single.
up.
Yeah, and I can certainly work with you guys. So I think that the concept is there. Maybe the language needs to get tweaked a little bit.
Is it possible maybe to share a couple of examples of people that this has caused a problem for, that are trying to?
Right now, it's just causing problems for an auto parts store.
To just that one, okay.
Yes.
I could see this applying to a store like the plant store that's downtown. Like if they wanted to open up in a different area, I feel like they sell plants. That's what they do. They're not selling, I don't know, shovels and mulch and all kinds of other garden supplies like you might get at Home Depot.
Go into the neighborhood uses business to see what drugstores allowed.
Could go into the neighborhood business code section with what is allowed. There are certain types, like banks are explicitly allowed, drugstores are allowed,
Convenience
stores
stores.
those are some of the big ones, and then specialty shop on top of that. But things that are more any other type of general goods besides drugstore and convenience, and a couple of other things aren't allowed. So this sort of gives you a little bit more flexibility. Neighborhood business, you typically might want to have those types of uses. It's nice to have a bike shop. It could be good to have an auto parts store, things like that. So it's a strange, it does allow pretty busy stores like convenience stores, 7-Elevens or Rite Aids, so you're not limiting things like that, yet you're limiting things like that that have kind of specific niches to them, which seems a little strange.
So a bridal store possibly would be,
Like, here's what is currently
Right.
allowed. So this
Okay.
would add to this, basically.
Offices, places of worship, convenience stores. The custom repair and service shop refers to like appliances, and specifically the definition says not related to autos. Daycare facilities, banks, dry cleaning, drugstore, firehouse, hairdresser, laundromat.
It's pretty much
Clinics.
everything besides either general or specialized retail stores,
These
which
are-
is a lot of businesses.
Right, on our zoning map, these are usually a small parcel or cluster of small parcels in neighborhoods away from the general commercial areas. So they don't have a lot of space to work in to put what they want there.
Would a specialty shop include a cannabis?
They're covered by a whole
They're
nother
separate,
section of
yeah.
the code.
And I think we even looked at, I think I brought up with, like, sex shops, like that's a specialty store, but I think that exists as another.
That's a separate, yeah.
category as.
That's an
there's-
adult retail.
Yeah, so
Adult
there
retail
is,
store.
so something like that's where my mind went.
Just
straight to.
call it what it
Yeah,
is.
here I say
so-
wedding store and you go to adult stores.
Yeah, I mean, you get the bridal outfit, I don't know. But, so, yeah, there are certain things stipulated like that that don't fit in because they exist elsewhere.
And along the lines of vices, I mean, would a vape store categorize as a specialty shop?
It may.
I was just thinking that too, that's a good question.
And related to autos, this came up during the budget season. Will the auto parts store have dealings with tires? And the only reason I ask is specifically for the disposal of used tires, because I know that, tires are an auto part and you have to dispose of them properly. And if you're selling them, I don't know if you're charging. I just that is the thing that comes to my mind when I think of auto parts specifically. Other than like say an auto zone, which doesn't sell tires.
It sounds like maybe we just need a work session to iron out what's in there rather than trying to do that tonight.
I think it'd probably be helpful, pull up the map, you can see what areas
Yeah.
this would impact. Okay, so work
Okay.
session.
Agreed. And as we become more seasoned, maybe that won't be necessary, but
Well, the other item that comes up when you talk about auto parts, and it's mentioned about AutoZone, yes, they don't do tires, but you can go to AutoZone and have them do a battery. So now you have a battery.
You also get the motor oil, they let you dump their motor oil in
Right.
their jugs, and how's that getting moved around? Does it stink?
Yeah. So it may, from this work session, sound like it might be more than just a definition expansion, possibly.
It sounds like there is a stomach to expand it to allow some more uses,
Yeah.
but maybe more kind of discussion of how to frame that exactly.
Is there a limit on building size for the specialty shops?
No.
So it couldn't be a 5,000 square foot or smaller building.
You can put a limit on it, but right now the only limit that I recall is on the shopping center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where my mind went was, Betsy, what you were describing is that these are specific uses within zones that might be almost accessory to another use. And if there was a desire to not having to go beyond just one particular line, a way to control that might be with the building size.
It also limit things like outdoor storage, that gets more into code than definitions, like, but it just sounds like something we need to talk about more. Okay.
Just process-wise for us, as we talk about, what we need to talk about more, what's our process for, do we have specific questions that we want to have looked at? What do we want them to be sent to us as folks think about them? Just so we know what to, I think we could lead
Yeah.
a discussion on it, but so that we come prepared with different,
Do you all have a preference?
Is the concern with the expansion have to do with the use being too intense? Like I'm hearing things about like hazardous materials, like and tires. I'm imagining them being stored outdoors when he was saying it, so maybe like outdoor storage, and that sort of stuff. Like
Environmental concerns.
And again, like to your point, is the size of the building. Are we dealing with a Pep Boys, which is an auto parts store, and then does it go into a repair facility?
so, the definition could expand the definition when we have it, but just say that, or maybe prohibit auto repair, like add that as a prohibited use. However we do that, just so that it's clear that it's not allowed.
You can get as specific
Yeah.
as you want, or you can say that a specialty shop is a permitted use in accordance with such and such section, and then in that section, you write the size requirements or whatever the other restrictions are on it. But it sounds like this would be
Yeah,
a
make it
good
more
item
specific.
for a work session. Nick, was your question more just general on how to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so we know what we're changing or what we're attacking and bringing back, I guess.
or even typically, we'll frequently have work sessions before a public hearing, say, at the work sessions, there might need to be a second work session based on the feedback at the first work session. What's the process there? Are we gathering all the info then as we are now? Is there a mechanism for them following up with further questions or discussion points they'd like looked at after the meeting? They think of something when they wake up tomorrow that they didn't bring up now. Can they,
I'll leave that up to staff in terms of how much back and forth you want with the planning commission. Obviously, this is your open meeting. This is the time for you all to have the discussion on any topic here. You're not allowed to meet in a quorum anywhere else and have a discussion.
right.
And so this really is where you should have that discussion. However, if there's something on the agenda that has an issue that you've spotted, or you're going to have a hard question, I think staff, and particularly legal, would like to know that question beforehand.
Right.
Because we are not very effective if you say, well, doesn't that conflict with this section of the code? And then I'm here on my laptop because I did not write this code, and it's very, very long, trying to do the legal research here. I think, and same
Yeah.
thing works for you guys for the technical review. If there's like a big issue, you wouldn't communicate it to everyone because you can't do that under the open meetings law, but you could communicate it to staff and say, this is a big deal. I want to let you know beforehand. And then hopefully they will communicate it to me, and we'll have some answers rather than just be doing research in front of you.
If you think of things later, I'm fine with you emailing me. And I may not be able to respond immediately, but I'm fine with having it and
and
getting
is
that.
it right that they shouldn't email all because that becomes a
Right.
meeting?
Correct.
Right.
So
You can't reply all.
Okay.
Yep.
No reply all.
Okay.
Okay, so we pretty much wrapped up with that item,
Yes.
going into a
So-
workshop?
Well, not all of the workshops. There's two more, but I don't think we need to we'll try not to
As far as
discuss them.
Specialty.
Oh, yeah, the specialty one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next text amendment would be to increase the building height in the hospital district. This is specifically related to a request by Tidal Health to put in a new parking garage, and they will exceed the exceed the height limit currently allowed. Accessory uses to the hospital are already allowed to have I think, a 75-foot height limit, but because this parking garage is not on the same parcel, as the hospital, it's not technically an accessory use. So what we would like to do is to keep it simple and increase the hospital district's height limit to 75 feet. That way they don't have to worry about whether or not it's on the same parcel to be able to do what they need to do in that area. The Central Business District right across the river already has a 75-foot height limit, so it's not really changing the skyline dramatically or anything like that. It's really just allowing the hospital to be more compact as they continue to expand.
This is land they already have, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So if all of the hospital district were a single parcel, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so if it seems like something that is going to be, I don't want to call it a no-brainer, but very simple for you all, and you don't want to see it come back to a work session, then a public hearing, what staff would do is they would just set it for the public hearing. We could skip that first step for it.
Does this go hand in glove with the next item?
Rezoning, yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, that was the only question I had, if it was already a hospital property. You
The
know,
hospital.
who's affected by that?
Yeah, the hospital owns all of, well, I guess in skipping to the next one, the hospital owns all of those properties, but the parcels that are along the highway are zoned general commercial instead of hospital. And so in order to allow them to do what they want to do without changing the height limit in multiple districts and adding parking structures and things, and extra code changes, it's just easier if they clean up that line and say it's all hospital district. And so they're just trying to do it the easiest, cleanest way for them to keep their hospital in the hospital.
You know, historically too, that there were sub shops, there were other businesses all along that corridor, and little by little, the hospital has been able to make advances in purchasing as businesses went out of business or offers were proffered that were accepted. So they now own all of that area there. Are we also looking at even the old Daily Times area in this as well, or not?
That's not part of.
That's not
these.
part of this one that they're
It's not
talking
part
about?
of this, no.
Okay,
This is just for the parking garage.
okay. Because they also own that area as well, don't they?
There's something brewing there, but I'm not fully up to date on that project.
I thought there was, okay.
I don't know if we have this off the top of the head, but the current parking garage that's in the hospital district, that's 4 stories, I want to say, that's, it's on Carroll Street.
Carroll Street.
What do we think the height of that is? Is that, it's not 75 feet?
I think this one was proposed to be 5
60.
levels.
Yeah.
I'm
60.
just trying to get a,
A visual.
Yeah.
or what an equivalent might look like.
It's like 40-ish, 40, 50.
Think so?
Yeah. I'm on.
The
new parking garage.
The new parking garage, I don't know if it's just, I think it's just for hospital use, but I don't know if they've specified that it's just for medical personnel or not.
Maybe 50 or more, 50, 60.
60's allowed, isn't it?
Well, who knows how this one was permitted? Maybe it was called an accessory.
And-
It's
okay.
40 unless it's an accessory.
Okay.
But yeah, we don't know.
This one seemed to make sense to me.
It does for me too, because I think, Lynn's right, like the hospital has grown and grown, but boy, it's kind of starting to hit its limits
Yeah.
of how much it can grow. And therefore, to take best advantage of the property, they need to be able to go up. That's right. That's right.
And I don't think there are very many properties left in the hospital district that are not owned by Tidal Health or the hospital, so.
The gas station is still there, though.
It's the last,
I
that will
guess
be
the
the
last
last
of the-
thing. Yeah,
Mohicans there.
yeah.
And I I think an important thing to think about as we talk about things like this, big changes in a whole district's rules for something like height, even if we know it's tied to a single project and that's the impetus, a garage, thinking about development of the area and the big hospital district, there are all those parking lots around there. Conceivably, that could lead to, tall hospital towers, which obviously is a very good thing in a lot of ways, but there's a lot of open real estate there that we could see this type of development going on to, which again, isn't bad, but I'd say that's a way to think about a question like this.
The only thing we need to know today is whether or not you think this needs to go to work session, or if it's okay for us to go ahead and schedule public hearings for one or both of those items related to the hospital district.
To the public, I think it makes sense. I think the staff has already mentioned that it's not going to have any ill effect. I think we should go right ahead and move on.
The text amendment and the rezoning, or just one or the other?
So, I have some thoughts about the rezoning.
Okay.
So if we, and I think it is useful to kind of talk about both in the same time because they're intermingled. I do, I think everybody's gotten used to, I'll say the shorter, like the 40 to 50, whatever we think the parking garage is, height being right at the edge of the property. For the Route 13 corridor, the current, I think you said in the staff report, the current commercial height limit is 50 feet. That's kind of the sense of the surrounding area as you're on Route 13 is that it's lower buildings. To me, I feel like it, just from an aesthetic standpoint, if we were to change that general commercial to the hospital district, then the hospital had the ability to build a 75-foot parking garage right there, that would be jarring to me. I don't know that's the look that we want in our area. I would be open to an idea where we do both. We allow for a 75-foot accessory structure, or I'm sorry, the ask is really a 75-foot parking garage be allowed in the hospital district. I'm open to that. But for this one location where it's been general commercial for so long, if we had a way of saying within a certain setback from Route 13, we'd like it to be no more than 50 feet.
So let's.
Isn't it just asking to just zone it as a hospital zone, and it's nothing to do with, well, eventually, I'm sure, in the plans, but right now we're
like
just
on the
determining
plan?
whether
I
it's
didn't
just,
print the plan.
if we want to make it hospital.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
That's right.
And not determining the
What
the
happens.
status of the garage.
Correct.
Right.
But I feel like the two are a little bit intermingled.
Well, I know they're intermingled, but yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. That is what the rezoning would be.
The question
Yeah.
is the setbacks.
So I think the idea is to inject also a setback off of the highway as part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's just look at what the setback already is.
a setback of the vertical limiting plane to be 50 within 50 feet and
That's kind of my
75 after, something
Yeah,
like that.
That's my thought.
They do that in New York a lot.
Okay, yeah, so the setbacks it's 40 feet off of Route 13.
Do you want setback for the whole structure you're thinking, or setback of the vertical limiting plane?
It would be the plane to me.
Yeah.
I would say whatever the distance is for that commercial zone today, that distance, if it's 100 feet, we would say for the first 100 feet, the building could be no higher than 50 feet to stay consistent with what the general building limit is. Beyond that, it could then go to whatever, it could go to the 75-foot length.
So the setback would be done like at an angle, like you would, so that it would have to,
I was thinking more of like a step.
but a stair step, okay.
Yeah.
So would you all agree that the rezoning portion has to be work sessioned a bit? Okay.
Just because of the possibilities that it
Do
wants
they
to
have to
become.
be two separate
Right.
hearings?
Exactly,
Right.
right.
You'd have to advertise it twice for, yeah, I mean, if it's two separate applications, it'd be two separate public hearings.
I thought they would be separate anyway.
Yeah,
They can't-
but if it makes sense to have them be heard at the same time, it might make sense just to put them both on for.
Did you say it was 40 feet?
I think, she said it's,
I mean, you could do it either way.
the building setback
He
is
added this
is 40 feet.
lane setback. It's
Yeah.
section changes it.
Well,
Saying whatever the distance of the current general commercial.
actually, then it seems like the rezoning is not the problem, it's the height. So maybe the rezoning could go ahead to the point where they can start doing re-subdivision and that sort of stuff, but then the
Yeah, and then we could
The
change
t-
the district's
rules,
rules
not,
to reflect the
the height
75
and
foot
setbacks.
with the vertical and plane setback. I like that.
so it's, but still, it sounds like it all needs to be work sessioned then.
Right.
Unless you're comfortable with the rezoning piece. But I think Laura's saying they should, if it's all related to one project, it's probably easier to talk about it at the same time, even if it's two separate public hearings.
Although if we do the rezoning now, that doesn't allow the higher height, non-accessory.
I think you can word it two different ways. You could say you can have a 75-foot structure, but not within X number of feet of the highway. Or you can say, in a hospital district, make it all hospital district, you can either do it as a condition of the height, or you can do it as a condition of the zoning.
Let's work session all of it so we can come up with the best way to do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
One step's in, but a big.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
I know in the Historic Commission, we have a time limit on when an application comes in. We have so many days to process it. Do we have those same things here? Okay.
So,
Betsy, just to go back, like the Planning Commission 101, the basis for rezoning is either a mistake or a change in
changing the neighborhood.
the neighborhood.
Yes.
And this is clearly, this is not a mistake, but this is,
A change.
it's a change in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Once it's zoned hospital, that automatically brings with it another whole set of rules.
It does, those frontage lots.
Is there, I mean, the hospital can only apply for the properties that they own, but are any of the adjacent neighbors, you know, there's, I think, 3 other commercial lots, and then the gas station that you were referring to.
Yeah.
Those would all remain in the general commercial, it looks like, until they also apply for rezoning.
They bought several, there's, some of those properties are empty, but they own it.
Do you think it would just be the gas station would be the only thing that remains? Because the hospital's kind of formed an enclave almost.
Yeah, that's their goal.
Sub shop was one of the last holdouts.
Probably going to end up buying a gas station
Yeah, of course it makes sense.
eventually. Yeah.
Sub shop used to be there, I think, and they were one of the ones, was one of the holdouts for years.
I remember that.
They were a holdout for years.
And isn't it Peninsula Cardiology was when they were relocated? Yeah, I remember.
Historical knowledge, honey. I've been here forever.
If you don't mind, there's one more. I don't have any reports prepared on it. I just want to make you aware of it.
Thank you.
Large family childcare. That is something that changed in the state code. So we are working on a text amendment to bring our definitions in alignment and add that as a use and figure out the best places to allow it and how to do so. And so we intend to bring that to a work session. One that we want to just push. So I just want to let you know that's coming.
What does that entail? Large family? Is that?
Childcare, a family childcare, so an accessory use to a dwelling, but that allows 9 to 12 children. Right now, it's capped at 8. The state has created this new use. I don't think it's recent. I think they've just updated their rules to where, like condo associations and things like that can't prohibit them anymore. But they have extra rules, like they have to have a director, there's an education component, they have to have an employee. There's just more to it. It's a little more intense than a normal daycare, but it's still an accessory to a single-family dwelling, which means it's a more intense use going in our residential neighborhoods. So it just needs to be looked at and determined how to go about it.
Cool.
And it's
It's
capped
ve-
right now at how many people?
8 children. It's very much from our research like a daycare center, except for that it's attached to a house.
Therefore be in a residential area.
Basically a daycare center.
Yeah.
There is a daycare, like a childcare shortage, so I think that's the
Yep.
state's effort to address that. But they still rely on us to figure out the zoning for it, so.
But they come up with the rules of how many children per person, per adult.
Right.
Those limitations,
They
correct?
govern-
How many under a certain age and,
They govern everything that is on the inside of the, whether it's safe, what sort of outdoor space is required, but they don't seem to address anything related to parking, traffic, noise, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the state of New Jersey used to have something like that, or still does at this point, where they would actually purchase the home. It's not so much the home, which is a wonderful facility,
It's like moving
it's the neighbors.
kids in. And then drop-offs and pickups. Ooh, ooh. A little scary. Is there a way to purchase a copy of the code as opposed to me printing the whole thing out? I know you guys use computers all the time, but I'm a paper pencil person.
I've never asked about purchasing a copy.
I mean, it's probably hundreds of pages.
I printed
Yeah,
it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Is it like 100 pages?
Oh, the whole code?
Or what, the part
I think it was
that,
about this
yeah, the
thick.
part that you
Yeah.
all, that we would be,
I printed the whole thing.
the part that we would be asked to be experts.
Like if you just, so, yeah, the zoning code, maybe the subdivision code, so too.
Into it, you know.
Yeah, it gets updated annually, biannually.
So, when it gets updated, the changes go on the city's website. You have to pull the ordinance, and then the actual text changes are supposed to get changed to the code at least twice a year.
I know.
I know what's online right now doesn't have all the changes yet.
I figured.
Okay.
Maybe you could just send me a direct link to that
Oh, yeah, sure.
thing, and then I can look at printing my HP print ink and see what I can do. I like to have a manual. I
I think we can get a copy, a paper copy.
I don't know. I just,
For anybody that wants one.
you've got a great big, look at that, loose leaf binder. I think it needs to have
Are
stuff
you-
in it.
Welcome, Mike.
Are you okay to move on from
Yes.
the next thing? I don't want to jump ahead. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the comprehensive plan because we're also going to want to
Oh,
get that
yeah.
in front of you as soon as possible. Everybody, this is Mike Pirunsky.
Hi.
Before you leave today.
I was. Yeah. And I was at Rehoboth Beach a few minutes ago too, working.
After the meeting closes, we'll have to do intros again. So we would really like to have this adopted by like the end of the fiscal year, which gives us a time frame to work on. So we've been working on the draft, the actual drafting since spring, since the focus groups closed. It requires a 60-day review process with the state, so we'd like to work session it with you before that. preferably in January, so that the 60-day review process is over in March, or the end of February. So, right? Isn't that what it is? No, you said, huh? Yeah, February and March would be the 60-day review. No, that's right. Okay, I understand. Yeah, February, March would be the end of would be the 60-day review period. Then April, after we've made any changes based on that 60-day review from the state, and we would then have a public hearing here where you would make a formal recommendation, hopefully to the city council to adopt it.
And they would get a copy after the 60-day review and changes we made prior to their public hearing? These people?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So,
But you'd get a copy before the work session so that you have a chance to review it, and
Is there a draft of it done?
it's not quite
By
like-
January, there will be?
give a couple weeks.
I'm hoping in a weeks to have something we can like give, to start looking at it so that so we can work session in January.
Your fiscal year, June 30th ends.
Can I ask a question about that? I was reading about the models and guidelines for the housing component of it. That gets included in the comprehensive plan that we put together?
Yes, there's a
Yeah.
housing element.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, a lot of the housing element is, that are the new requirements that the state has are addressed in the CDBG grant consolidated plan that the city puts out. They just did one last year, I think. So the state has said that we can sort of reference that, which will help.
Is that information online?
The information about like
The new housing and,
the state has, on their website, housing guidelines. It's also in Comar. I printed out all the guidelines. The only ones that I don't have print for are like the water resources element, because they've made it more web-based. And so rather than trying to print all that out,
I was specifically, like, I guess I was reading on, like, the HB 90 requirements that were passed in 2021.
I would have to look.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
okay, cool.
It sounds like that's the new requirements for the housing element.
I think so,
That have to
yeah.
do with fair and affordable housing.
yep.
Yes, okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll address that, and that the CDBG requirements, that consolidated plan addresses
It's
a
all
lot of
incorporated into that, yeah, okay.
I got to be a little bit part of this, but maybe for everybody's background, can you kind of go from a quick timeline of maybe January a year ago and all the great work with workshops and things like you've done to get to this point, and then and then I guess the other piece is we have a 2010 comprehensive plan, so this will be something that might be a 2026 comprehensive plan. So it's a gap of 16 years.
So 10.
and the hope is that we've learned a lot in those 16 years, and we've now got that into that plan, and maybe talk a little bit about what the process has been up until now to have that happen.
I'll do my best. I wasn't here in January of 2024.
Okay.
That's this year.
Oh, you mean January this year or last year?
I guess this year. Yeah, this year.
Okay,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year.
sorry.
This year I can do.
Yes.
He wants me to give a summary of the comprehensive plan, like what it is. It's like a 10-year, it's every 10 years we do a comprehensive plan. It's a large document usually that goes through a vision for the city for like 20 years out. But also knowing that like it's not really feasible to plan that far. At some point, I think it sort of gets to be a wish list. And then we're required by the state to do it every 10 years. Everybody's 10-year period, I believe, fell like during COVID, so they've been very lenient about that requirement. There are multiple elements. It includes a land use, a municipal growth element, a transportation element. You have to address economic development, but that's not required to be a formal element. There's a housing element, water resources, sensitive areas. The state has a list of things we have to address. Also, they had visions previously, 12 visions we had to talk about, and now I think we're down to 8 principles, or I could be backwards, but either way, they're all things we have to address. Our 2010 plan was done back when the city was still using county planning staff, so that's always interesting, and also very conservatively written compared to how the city has grown. So we really need to update it based on like the reality of now versus 2010. We had, so the timeline you asked for, sorry. So in January, actually, at the end of 2024, we started talking about redoing focus groups because a lot of time had passed and we really wanted more public input. Our current staff, we didn't feel like we had gotten enough public input. So we did focus groups in February, March, and April. 4 different ones related to transportation, to land use and municipal growth, to the water resources and environmental things. And there was one more housing, or thank you. And so that was really great. We had somewhere between 15 and 20 people in attendance, I think, at every meeting. And we did sort of activities where like we might have had maps or there were discussion questions we took notes and had moderators at each table and shared at the end. And it was, I think from a planner's standpoint, really encouraging to have that kind of public input. And we received good feedback on that. So then after those, we've taken those comments and some other comments that have drifted in via email and letter and sort of made sure that the comprehensive plan addresses them or supports them in some way.
You had a survey, online survey that.
The online survey was pre-me, so,
Oh, okay. Sorry.
so I don't know exactly how all of that played out, but we do have that information, the survey, different things that were said, topics that came up, themes. And right now on our website, we have a comprehensive plan website that sort of summarizes everything that has happened in the focus groups that you can click on.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so actually the city's main page, there's a comprehensive plan link and it will take you directly to that.
And the current plan is on there.
And yeah, the current plan the 2010 plan, you have to go to DID's website to get to, but you can access it that way.
So is the current version of the draft, right now that's just internal, has that been released, like for comment?
It hasn't been like publicly put out yet,
Okay.
but we have released it, I guess, to internal department, like city staff of different departments to make sure that we have their information correct, to get any like additional information. I think like if they have projects that they know are going to be like in the next 10 years, it might be good to like have that in there to help them with grant things. So however they can take advantage of this process and make sure that we're supporting everyone. Why is it important? The comprehensive plan is important because the state requires it, but it's also important because it guides decisions that the planning commission makes here, and that the city council makes going forward. The growth element would guide decisions regarding zoning recommendations.
And it's really the planning commission's job to do the comprehensive plan. It's really It's
Mm-hmm.
your document.
Yes.
And so I know a lot of work has gone into it before you all have been on this board, but it's something that really has to be read and reviewed, and it's a big
deal.
job for
It's a big
planning-
deal.
Yeah,
Yes.
for planning
It's a big deal.
commissions.
It needs to support the code as well. So if we're looking to do a code update, which we tried to do as a city before, I think sort of like put the cart before the horse and had to stop and do the comp plan first. So the comprehensive plan will be supportive of the code, and any updates and changes, we want to make sure that it's consistent with what we want to do. And that's like sort of like the gist
Thank
of
you.
it, I guess.
That is a good thing. And I know, having gone to a lot of city council meetings and sat in discussions with builders and projects, it gets referenced a lot. Like, this was in the comp plan in 2010. This was done in consensus with the comp plan. So it's a document that holds a lot of people's feet.
And it's one of those documents where you want it to
Want it
be,
right.
you want it to be specific enough to be able to guide decisions, but broad enough that it doesn't like tie your hands if something doesn't become feasible. So you kind of have to walk a line with it a little bit.
If we get it in 2026, do we have to turn around in 4 years and do it again?
No.
So it's a 10-year document at that point?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know whether you had to play catch-up and get back on the every 10 years with the census type thing.
So
Okay.
it would be nice if it lined up with the census again, but
We'll delay the next one for you.
There we go, yeah. Yeah, we'll get back to 2040.
Now, I don't know if this will help or not, but back on our board, back again in Jersey, our council had hired an engineer firm to do a natural resource inventory, also called an ERI, and it was very good for planners and identified a lot of things in our particular facility, which was a 36 square mile town. If I could get my hands on that electronically, would that be something that you might want to see?
we're always happy to see information. We do have city mapping that identifies our natural resources. The state
Okay.
has mapping that we use. And for the water resources element, we did outsource that to the Center for Watershed Protection.
Okay.
Because that's just more of a technical document.
It was intense.
Yeah.
Good job, Betsy.
I can't take credit for all of
Well,
it, but I'll just say
for
thank you
running the
for
meeting.
everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So anything else?
The last thing on the agenda is just to confirm the next meeting date, because I wasn't sure what you would pick and so where that would fall.
As far as our calendar.
Is there consensus to work? Well, no, but we didn't like discuss an agenda yet, so I guess not really, but
Is it gonna be done? I mean, that's the first question.
yes.
I think when you guys are done with it, you put it on the agenda.
Could I
So
be-
when we say that we're done with it, are you good with it being work sessioned?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Is the city putting stuff on the county planning commission next week?
Good point. So right now we have 2 signed plans. We have permission to put that on their agenda, but I didn't want to do that without talking to our new planning commission to make sure that you're comfortable with us using that MOU while we have it, or if you'd prefer that it just wait so that you can see it at the next meeting.
So your first meeting would be January 8th at 4 o'clock.
we meet next week.
All you have the counties to sign things.
January 8th.
Can they leave?
6, wow.
I am comfortable telling them that they should wait. I just, with the workload that we have, I wanted it to be the planning commission's decision whether or not they wanted to or not. One of those may be forced to wait because I don't think that their sign plan is good enough.
And is
So
one
we're
of the-
having that discussion this week.
Is one of the sign plans just amending an existing plan to match what the sign that they put up?
A lot of them are like that.
Yeah.
But one of them, the one that is definitely ready, is new. It's a monument sign for a new development, the one behind Target, North Point Commons. Sorry. Oh. Well, the county didn't know that. The MOU.
Be a draft, that's not, no, but it's part of legislation.
The MOU says that it's terminated upon staffing of a new city
Oh.
planning commission.
Well, I mean, there's, for one sign plan, to
Yeah.
make all those people come in for it.
Yeah, we were just changing the time to 3 because of last time, but if it's just 1, I agree. I don't think it's,
It's dead.
yeah. Okay, well, it sounds like that's not an option anymore, so. Okay, so,
Will the meetings always be in this room?
yes.
Okay.
So the first one is January 8th at 4 p.m. And the only thing, further thing that staff wanted to ask you was whether you would consider having a second meeting either in December or January to help get things rolling. I also know that this is like short notice for anything at this point because you just got together. I did come prepared with some December meeting dates, but if that doesn't work, I can, do another email out. And
Why don't you throw them out, the dates that you had?
so for
December.
December, I know that on the 18th, because that's when the county's planning commission is, that the 1:30 to 4 is tentatively held because that would have been our city's time. Wednesday, the 17th, before 6 p.m., the 15th before 5, the 16th after 3, the 10th after 3, and the 11th after 1. So most of the times available are evenings, actually.
The agenda be if we met on the 11th?
I think,
Curious,
today?
what would your agenda be for us? At one
well-
of these meetings, what would the agenda look like?
I think, like the 10th and 11th probably need to be out at this point because that's just next week.
The 16th? You
So
mentioned?
if it were that week, like the 16th, probably any sign plans that were ready, maybe a workshop, one of the work sessions. We could do the preliminary development, comprehensive development plan.
They would be work sessions. We would not have somebody sitting at the table in front of us bringing us something, or we
So
would.
for work sessions, they do come.
They do come, okay.
So, well, the work session would be for, how many, maybe one of the simpler text amendments that we were talking about today.
Okay.
But if we could also, it's really up to the chair approving the agenda, but we could do sign plans and the preliminary comprehensive development plan and get those out of the ways.
18th work?
Doesn't work for me.
Doesn't work for me,
Yeah.
sorry.
You might not have a lawyer.
Oh. Well, it is what it is, but we did want to ask.
Yeah.
And we'll work it out one way or another. I think in January, a thought that I had was rather than trying to have multiple sort of planning commission sessions that were for applications and text amendments and things, but to have keep sort of working through those, but have a second session that was a special session for the comprehensive plan work session in January.
I think it probably makes sense to
I
have the
think that-
comprehensive plan its own
Yeah.
meeting.
Now, would we perhaps, we're already meeting on the 8th, so are we talking like the 22nd, or the room wouldn't be available like that fourth Thursday probably? I'm just thinking for consistency for our schedules.
It's
So
always on a Thursday.
the dates that I provided for meeting dates are dates where there are no, dates and times where there are no regular meetings. But there could be things, it could have been reserved already. So I would just need to look at the January calendar and get you that information.
If it's to work on the comp plan, do we need this room? Or could we work
It
in?
would still be an open meeting, so
I
we
didn't know
need,
whether we could go in that conference room down the hall.
The public would be here.
We-
Well, we've done. Curious.
Yeah, they get, just us and the staff wouldn't fit in that room.
room 306 is not big anymore.
Oh, it isn't?
No.
Chopped up? Okay.
No, it's been chopped up.
The last time I was there, it was big enough
Yeah.
for about 40 people.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
okay.
No, it's not anymore. But this has all of the, we need to be able to record.
Yeah.
It's helpful if we have PAC 14.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Okay.
whichever,
I just didn't know whether you had alternative. I know when they work on budgets, sometimes they work out of other rooms.
yeah, the only two places I can think of would be the firehouse and headquarters, HQ. In that room, they used to have meetings there for council, so it should be
did.
set up to be able to,
Well, you know that this room is likely available the fourth Tuesday, so that would be January
yes.
27th,
Or the 4th.
the 4th.
1, 2, 3, 4, 27.
So then there would be a meeting on the 8th, which would be the regular meeting. And then there would be a meeting on the 27th, which would be the comp plan meeting.
12th of February.
Yeah, it's basically,
Good, it's a good spread.
Be like every 2 weeks.
That's good.
would the 27th work for everyone for
So-
a special meeting for the comp plan?
At 4 o'clock,
No.
same time, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, that was,
How long would it take? About a couple hours, right?
Probably, yeah.
But if you're having issues with Tuesdays, in general, Tuesdays don't work for you, right? That list of, when is this room available again?
so you've got the second week of the month on Tuesdays, day and night, and Thursdays,
But we're already meeting the
in
second
the
week.
evening, right. And then
So Tuesday would be 4
it's
o'clock?
really only the first week of the month is pretty well booked.
The
And
second
the
Tuesday of
third.
the month, though, falls on the following week. So the second Tuesday of the month is January 13th.
Sounds like Tuesdays don't work.
Tuesdays don't work.
Right.
The second Wednesday of the month falls on January 14th.
Staggered.
Yeah. So the second Wednesday of the month falls on January 14th. Would that work?
Second meeting? Do we,
When you say second week, you mean second Wednesday of the month, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that would be the 14th?
Meet on the 8th as a body to review, do things with agenda, with public. We would meet on the 14th with agenda, with public, but we would only be focusing on comp plan.
Right. So the 8th.
Usually I'm not available on Wednesdays, but I would be available that day.
In the afternoon?
At 4 o'clock.
Is that when we would do it, at 4?
You know, unfortunately, on the 13th, I'm having a knee replacement. So we would just, have,
He knows all about it.
So does he.
yeah.
You'll
We'll
be
have you
happy.
out of, they will have you out of bed and walking.
Yeah, you'll be here. You'll be here.
We'll get you here and you can just sit in your chair.
Yeah.
With
If your
a little
surgery's in
pepper.
the morning, you'll be here in the afternoon.
The first day is the best day.
Yeah,
It gets worse after
I know.
that, but the first day is the best day.
They can get you up.
we'll put the
But I
little
mean,
peddler underneath your
one
desk.
person doesn't, kill, 6 other agendas, so.
And I think the 14th
the
is going to
chair.
be a lot of
Well,
getting
twice.
up to speed on
And that
what's
was a shock,
happened
too.
already. I mean, it'll be like the first look at the comp plan.
Well, hopefully it won't be your first look. We would like you to have the draft beforehand.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it would be more like where we would want your feedback then, and
Okay.
and what you think needs to be different, or if it's good the way it is, or that sort of stuff.
I think you would still be able to do that with,
Yeah.
with written.
And then just send out dates via email.
Yeah.
But if you have 6 people that are good for that day,
Let's do it.
lock it in.
'Cause you will have already seen it in the written draft form. So I'm sure you could compose your notes
Yeah, sure.
and
Yeah,
provide them
Yeah.
Right,
via an email
right.
to them, not to all of us, because that would constitute a violation of the open
Yeah, I would
meetings.
send it to Betsy.
Yeah, and then she could say,
Yep.
So then the decision point at that work session would just be, are you good to send it to the state with whatever changes you have, or do you want to meet on it again?
What
Decision.
happens if there's changes after this, like once the state has it? Do you have to resend it? Or you not
It
change
would-
anything
it would-
substantive?
We're not technically required to. The state says, but yes, like we could make changes based, like we could present that with changes
You're asking if you have
before.
to send it to the state again.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
you
no,
don't.
no, you don't. You don't have to send it to the state again.
If they met in January and then wanted a second work session in February, would you hold off sending it to the state, or would you send it to the state in the meantime?
Oh, I think the I think the planning commission needs to be good with it before we send it to the state. Which,
My only concern is whether or not one work session on a
Is enough.
document that big is gonna be enough before you send it to the state.
that-
everybody sends comments when they have them, then at that work session, we could be prepared to talk about those points.
Well, let's get a date scheduled then and go from there.
14th.
Do you think it's worthwhile to just address maybe major comments at the end of the January 8th meeting? As in saying, we're going to review it, but these are specifically things that like if one of us has a major issue that needs to be addressed, not so much getting into the weeds, but just like, hey, look, we've really missed something here. Should we bring that up at the 8th, kind of like right at the tail end of that meeting?
You should consider it for sure. I think you might want to wait until you see how heavy the agenda is
Sure.
first. But
It could be
yeah,
a standing item for just a couple throwaway comments.
yeah.
That way the comments are in public.
Yeah.
And that way we can all be a little bit more prepared, so that it gives us an opportunity to just show up prepared on the following meeting date.
So we have.
And you'll
10
be at that meeting, David.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
primarily what I was thinking, is to
Yeah, I
give
like
Dave
it.
an opportunity to be here in person to comment
Yeah.
on it.
Okay. So we have tentatively 2 meetings, one for January 8th and one for the 14th, both at 4 p.m.
Right.
And the 14th is definitely just for the comprehensive plan, but will be like a short workshop at the work session at the 8th. The security desk calendar then. Reserve the room.
I'll just bring up, and I appreciate everybody else's thoughts. First off, thanks for like painting this workload for us, and my gosh, you guys are doing a lot. For me as a person, and this is where I'd like to hear other people's thoughts. I would support, meeting more than once a month, even beyond this January meeting, if that's beneficial to getting. I feel like we have a backlog of 4 to 5 months of the fact that this commission hadn't been around, and to the extent that we need to meet more often to get that backlog down to something reasonable, I'd support that.
Yeah, I think it would be worth us being asked for availability, because you have a backlog, and you have a full staff down,
Yeah.
so that'll help too.
Yes, but also we always are going to have a heavy workload, so, but we'll just talk about what we have that is urgent. And I don't want you guys to meet multiple times all year long. So, but yes, and
Whatever it
we
takes to get
greatly
you back on
appreciate
track.
that, to get, yeah. I think project-wise, we're okay, except for those that are reliant right now on various amendments because of our outdated code. All the other things just need to be scheduled now that you're here.
The only thing we can do would be to put it to your priority. And we'll go from there, so, yeah, but I completely support more than once a month.
Take a look at that.
And again, that 4 o'clock seems to work, so.
It does, but there was only one regular meeting date that worked for you, so I'm going to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
From room availability standpoint, so.
And you said we can always go to headquarters too, right? If it's not open.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to them about how it's set up now, since they haven't had a regular meeting there in a long time.
They've discouraged, I've tried to have just like our Parks Committee meeting there, and they've strongly discouraged us anytime after normal business hours from being there.
Interesting.
I think
Okay.
because there's a security person down there that can be locked. I don't know if that's the only reason, but that seems to be a major reason.
All I had on the agenda today.
Do you have anything else?
I could just say that the mayor had wanted to come. He wasn't able to make it. He wanted to thank everybody for their willingness to serve, and he really appreciates your commitment to the city and all that.
Get a motion to close?
Adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Good. I'm good with that one.
Yeah.